Hey, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna talk about Dr. Todd Grande, who is a YouTuber who posts a lot of pop psychology videos. He is a licensed counselor and he has a lot of subscribers, but recently he made a video about the Colleen Ballinger's situation, and a lot of people, rightfully so, are like, you got this wrong, bud. So I did make a video not just about Dr. Grande, but about YouTube mental health professionals in general. I made it about 2 or 3 years ago now, so it's pretty old and it could probably use some updating. So maybe if it's something people are interested in, I'll do an updated video on that. But the thing is in the video, Dr. Todd Grande really didn't seem to understand the allegations against Colleen Ballinger. And my dogs are fighting again because they have to fight every time I record. Shh. Hey, George, stop. But the issue is he talked about what Colleen did to Becky, and he said that he said the same thing TMZ said, and the same thing Colleen said in her apology, but in reality,
she suggested that many people thought she was a predator because she made a joke about flatulence.
Now, as soon as I stood up from the audience, I saw Colleen's eyes widen because she realized I was not wearing pants. But for some reason, that didn't stop her from continuing. In fact, no adult at any point stepped in this situation. So we get to the point in the yoga challenge where I am laying down and Colleen is spreading my legs basically as far as she can. She spreads them so far that you can see the spandex I was wearing under my romper, which thank God I was wearing. Now, the original video posted by Xandar, I'm sorry if I pronounced her name wrong, is only a screenshot, but there is a whole video of this. But that screenshot is the most important because that is the moment I will never forget, where I was laying under Colleen and she was smirking down at me while thousands of people were laughing, and I was terrified that my body wasn't covered up enough by the spandex or the romper. I basically felt naked, so it felt incredibly sexually violating. I was younger and my body was still developing and I was still becoming comfortable with myself, so for her to use my body as entertainment on stage really set my confidence back quite a lot. And not to mention, after all this, after the show, I had to walk back to my car where there was many men staring at me in a very predatorial way that they were not looking at me before because of how exposed I had been on stage. So I literally did not feel safe leaving the venue.
Becky was not upset that this was an embarrassing thing. She was upset that Colleen, an adult in her 30s, took a 16-year-old kid on stage while she was wearing a short romper and spread her legs apart and exposed her to everybody. And yeah, you could argue, well, that's a part of her show. Becky should have known better. Becky was a kid. Colleen was an adult. It's her responsibility to not do that to a child. I mean, she really shouldn't be spreading anybody's legs on stage unless it's someone she works with who is a consenting adult who fully understands. But she shouldn't be doing this anyway, but especially not if someone's wearing a short romper and they can be exposed. Another thing he seems to not understand is he thinks Colleen just kind of crossed some boundaries. Colleen talked about sex with fans like Adam McIntyre. She allegedly sent him nudes of Trisha Paytas while he was a minor, which, by the way, is against the law. But what do I know? But like Dr. Grande, and this has always been my problem with him, is he thinks if he's just measured with his words and uses these psychological terms that, please stop, they're fighting right behind my camera, but he thinks that makes his words hold more weight, and he is correct in that, because people believe him since he is a licensed counselor, but that doesn't make him right all the time. He made a video about Claudia Conway, basically victim blaming her. He has a history of victim blaming people and really white knighting for people that victimize other people. I don't know why he's like this. I'm not a mental health professional, and even if I was, it wouldn't be appropriate to speculate on the internet, even if I put a disclaimer in front of all my videos that I am not diagnosing anyone.
Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this.
In case you can't tell, Dr. Grande really pisses me off as somebody who has been in the mental health system since I was 18. I was forcibly put into a mental hospital, and I had a lot of bad experiences there with doctors who thought they were smarter than me and thought they knew everything about me and they could read me. I'm not against psychology or the mental health system. Like, I'm against the system as a whole because it is very abusive and there are lots of issues with it. But I see a therapist, I see a psychiatrist, so I am not someone who refuses to believe in psychology or any of that. But I will say, a lot of these mental health professionals on this platform may not be as intelligent and wise as they want you to believe. I'm not saying Dr. Grande is stupid, but I will say it seems like he did not do his research in that video, because if he had done his research, he would have known that that was not what happened to Becky, and what happened to Becky is much deeper than what Colleen wants people to believe. And he also would have known that there are multiple victims at this point who have come forward with his story. And if he really knows about victims of abuse, then he would also know how difficult it is for people to come forward. And that may be why there are many people who have not yet come forward and may never come forward. Because look at what happened to Adam McIntyre when he came forward in 2020. Even now, he's getting hate for speaking out against Colleen Ballinger. People don't believe victims of abuse, especially victims of grooming, because groomers tend to be charming and they're the people you would least expect.
At the same time, I am underwhelmed by the small number of complaints, given the sheer quantity of videos that Colleen has produced. On YouTube alone, she has published over 3,500 videos. This doesn't count for any other social media, TV, Netflix, or other places. Ostensibly, Colleen has also communicated with fans frequently, probably thousands of interactions, yet there are only a few complaints. Colleen became popular for playing a character who was spontaneous, energetic, immature, charismatic, emotionally reactive, and boundary violating. It makes sense that a person who could play this type of character might be a little bit impulsive themselves. The very characteristics that made Colleen famous are now being used against her. This isn't fair to Colleen. In a way, it's like people being mad at a boxer for being aggressive when they are not in the ring.
So yeah, of course, there's only a small minority of people who have had this experience with her. She's not gonna groom her entire fan base. Dr. Grande's logic makes no sense here because these were intimate relations, and I don't mean intimate as in like romantic or sexual, but like relationships between a small group of people. She did this to make them feel special, because if she could make these kids feel special, they would do whatever she wanted them to do, and she would have power over them. Whether this was her intention or not, that is what happened in this situation. And if Dr. Grande really wants to be a good mental health professional, he would stop shaming victims, blaming victims, and invalidating their experiences. I believe what he's doing is very harmful, even if he does not intend to. Because in mental health spaces, we talk about how the impact of your actions is more important than your intentions. Of course, I'm not going to say your intentions never matter, but the impact matters more, because you can intend one thing, but the way you impact somebody may be totally different, and you should never invalidate the impact that your words and actions have on other people.
The video that Colleen released was actually an apology video at all. It was an admonishment, a scathing indictment of cancel culture. Colleen was trying to communicate that there is nothing she can do to satisfy her detractors. She accepted responsibility for her behavior, but that is not enough for some people. I think that Colleen's video does reveal a truth about the world of social media celebrities. It underscores how people rarely change their minds once one of these scandals gets rolling. If an attitude change does occur, it's often not due to anything the celebrity said or sang, as the case may be. Instead of just doing nothing in response to criticism, Colleen is striking back. She is standing up for herself in a ukulele-fueled rebuke. One could argue that she is offering a Miranda warning. She is using all the criticism directed at her against the people who made it.
I'm not saying this to cancel Dr. Grande. He seems to be really against cancel culture. But what I will say about cancel culture is, as audience members, we have no recourse against a content creator except our ability to not tune in or to spread awareness about why these content creators may be unethical. And also, being a content creator is a privilege. Having a platform is a privilege. If people like Colleen Ballinger and James Charles, if they abuse their position, then they don't deserve to have a platform. So no, in that case, you don't get a second chance. But that's not to say Colleen Ballinger is not a human being that deserves second chances in her personal life, but she shouldn't be a content creator or an influencer because she has abused those privileges. And of course, people can disagree because anybody can be a content creator. But not everybody can have a big platform. And what Colleen is seeing now are the effects of her actions that spanned like a decade. If Colleen did not want this to happen, she should have stopped long ago before it got to this point, and she should have actually took accountability in 2020, and she never really did. She only showed us what she wanted us to see, and she knew that would make us not believe Hannah McIntyre and think he was just being over dramatic. I think Dr. Grande gives Colleen Ballinger a lot more grace than she truly deserves. I think he feels bad that she's being canceled, and he's like, oh yeah, she makes a point about mob mentality on the internet. But in my video response to Colleen Ballinger's ukulele tirade was that, yeah, she does make some points about cancel culture and mob mentality on the internet, but right now in this situation, that's not relevant, because what she did, or what she allegedly did, I have to say that for legal reasons, what she allegedly did is horrific and affected a lot of people, and probably going to affect them for the rest of their lives. And as a mental health professional, Dr. Grande should understand that, but I guess he doesn't. So anyway, that's the end of this video. I know it's kind of a salty one because this gets me riled up, because I hate when people come on the internet and say things as a mental health professional that cause more harm than good. And thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please give this a big thumbs up. And if you have not already and you would like to see more of my content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.